he doesn't eat much. He doesn't. He wants breast. He wants breast. I haven't got milk. I just expressed my milk from both my breasts, so I give him in a bottle.
In the early weeks I had express, but it's such hard work. I can't believe you're expressing all the time. Yeah, but that's more hard work than it's worth for me, I think. So, but in the early weeks I did express, and I went to visit my parents and they looked after him, and I went shopping for the day, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But because up until then I was just wearing black, saggy black clothes, and then I suddenly, got a few coloured things and felt more human.
So I've tried expressing, but I feel like a cow. I just feel like the milk machine, and this is, my partner's sitting there watching, and I think, God, this is so unfeminine, so unsexy, and it just makes me think I am a cow, But this way, I just feel like there's so much more to it. I've found a couple of times now that the elderly, often quite say, like when they're crying, oh, isn't mummy nasty? Does mummy smack you? Oh, bad mummy. And it makes me feel really bad that they're doing it to be nice. And I walk around thinking, but I'm a good mum. I'm good. And then I question myself.
Well, we've sort of fallen into two categories, I think, as mother. You're either young and wanton and just want a council house, so you're just going to reproduce and have kids everywhere and you're just socially irresponsible and white trash, or you're middle class and suffocating, and you're yummy mummy who just doesn't spoils their child, lets them have everything. Oh, and the third one, of course, then, who just has it as an accessory and goes back to work straight away, which shouldn't. There's no sort of any vague middle ground of just just enjoying it and valuing it.
Because as I said last week, I was working when I was in labour. I had to work, the day he was born, and there's no other way around it. But I do really sort of look at these women and really envy them and think. So my doctor said to me, when you're watching daytime television, you're like, oh yeah, when does that happen?
Yeah.
And I'm very conscious of the fact that you can't recapture anything, and every second he's doing something different, and I think I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
I feel so guilty though, because I do watch daytime television and I sleep in the morning, I don't get up till really late, and I feel like I should be doing something much more than I am doing. And everyone says don't, and enjoy this time and make sure, if you get lots of sleep then you're just enjoying yourself, you're not overtired. But I can't shake off the guilt, I feel I should be doing something.
I think you're making yourself available for your baby then. You're conserving your energy for what's necessary.
Yeah, and I know, I could say that to myself, but I still just feel guilty for, having too many lie-ins. Sometimes I force myself to get out of bed early, but then I've got nothing to do all day. So sometimes the days can be really long.
Some family members who, as soon as I said I was going out, it was as if, they'd all been waiting for it, and I thought it was a bit weird. I was saying, good Kath, I think you ought to, because, my sister-in-law said, because, it has been 3 months. As if I haven't been out for 3 years or something. I thought 3 months, you could say 12 weeks, doesn't sound as much. And, it was a very strange one. It was like, well, don't you want to be away from her?
Friends who've not got children, it's like, oh my God, you're going to become a new mother born. All you're going to do is talk about your baby. And if you actually had a really interesting job, something that was absolutely fascinating, that you'd always wanted to do, was really, really challenging, your friends would let you talk about that all the time, and they'd welcome that, which is effectively what a baby is. But because it's a baby, it's like that, oh yeah, she's talking about your baby again. Oh God. Not actually putting a different perspective in it at all.
There's parts of you that I think get wakened up when you become a mum that were dormant before. Possibly, I don't know, maybe not for everyone.
and I thought, wow, that's my baby. But there's no, I'm not going to say I didn't love her, because obviously I do, but it wasn't as I thought. It wasn't like an uncontrollable emotion.
That might have been the drugs
you know.
though.
I didn't get that either. When they first, I mean, my labour was pretty simple. It was 7 hours from start to finish, and I just remember it just came really quick. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting the 24 hours at home on a beanbag, rocking. It just didn't happen. I turned around and I remember taking him, holding him. It was like, wow, this is my baby, and it was brilliant to see him. But I didn't get that whole, cry. You see him telling him to cry, and I expected Chris to cry as well, and he didn't. It was just all a bit of a daze. And to be honest, it wasn't until everyone else left the hospital and it was just me and him on our own that I actually felt that, oh my God, you're my baby, and I didn't want to put him back down in his cot.
Like you say, that this all-consuming love that you have, and then you have to factor that into how you relate to your husband or your partner or your close family, and it's a juggling act all the time, I think, balancing.
I mean, it's absolutely adore my partner.
I know. It's a different.
Utterly. And then it's like that. There is no comparison.
Yeah.
Absolutely none whatsoever.
And a totally different sort of love.
Completely different. Yeah.
So has anyone got plans for this Sunday, Father's Day? Is anyone?
Isn't it where they sort of go, here, it's Father's Day, have the child. I think I've become stronger since becoming a mum, because I think before I was very much like, I for some reason I got it in my head that if, say for example, I said no, it's like, well, if I say no to that person, then that person might be hurt, then I'll be hurt because that person's hurt, and it's just on and on and on, and now it's just like, sod it, why should I? I've got more important things to do.
It was really sunny Monday and Tuesday, and I had a great time. I went to a barbecue, I had pims in the garden, was feeling like a real yummy mummy. And then he slept from 7 till 6 in the morning, I couldn't believe it, and then it all went pear-shamed. So last couple of nights he's been up so much through the night. It's like being a newborn again.
Definitely the sleep, not the lack of sleep does make you
irritable.
Yeah.
I mean, being a mother is not easy, is it? You really have to put yourself out sometimes, and sieving everything and mashing everything and just cooking and all those things take time.
It is amazing how it takes, like when you've got a little one, you can't do, like half an hour. He slept half an hour this morning, and I managed to clean the bathroom, that was it.
It always makes me laugh because I live above someone that had a baby 6 weeks after me. And we both try and get a shower at the same time. And when you're in the shower, you're pulling faces and you're doing everything to keep them occupied. And I can hear her downstairs and she's going, "Mummy's trying to get to shower." And I'm doing the same, and it's very funny.
I couldn't believe that nobody told me how shit you felt for like 5 months. Yeah. And then at the end as well, the midwife said, "Oh yes, well if your hormones are bad at the beginning, you're often really sick at the end as well because your hormones are changing, ready to get ready for labour." It's like, oh thanks.
But everything is
Shit at the end as well.
It's all about these women that are like absolutely fabulous. And,
I had a really good pregnancy. I had no morning sickness. I didn't really have any of the kind of pregnancy symptoms that you get. I didn't get heartburn or indigestion, or I got a thrush once, which was quite nice, but that's the only thing I got for the whole pregnancy. So I had a brilliant pregnancy, and then I had the 7 hour, because I kept thinking, right, I've had such a good pregnancy.
She's textbook.
That I'm going to have the worst. I'm going to have the worst labour in the world. So I built myself ready, thinking it's going to be terrible labour. And then it wasn't, and then I got this sinking feeling like I had a great pregnancy and I had a brilliant labour, so I'm going to have spawn for the just going to scream continuously. And then it didn't, and it's just been a really good baby.
See, I was fortunate enough that I hadn't had any drugs before I went in, so that's probably why I really clearly remember it all. But I just remembered thinking, after he came out, or saying, like to the midwife, can Stuart see the baby come out? I just wanted somebody to see the baby come out.
Did he?
no, he said, I don't want to. And I said, I understand. Afterwards I thought, oh God, that I shouldn't have even expected him to want. You were told it was
Yeah, and
beforehand.
yeah, and it was a little, not little, it was a big shock. Yeah.
Had you gone out and brought everything as well for a boy?
Yeah, everything.
I think it's amazing what mums do. She take pride in each day when you got through and you've done, you've been with your baby and shared with them and sort of given them that love.
And when you're having a difficult day, you just sort of step back and you look at their little faces and you realise how magical it all is.
And when they are just asleep in their cot and you can see the peace on their face and how much they appreciate for the care what you give them, and it's really nice. And actually you can change this going out, not going out at any time when you want to, because you just arrange your things around your baby if you want to change your life. And you were absolutely right on saying that our youth is for enjoying ourselves, and when time comes to take on motherhood.
The thing that somebody was saying earlier about, didn't plan to have it in bed, did you? I mean, I didn't plan to put Freddie in our bed. I didn't really think about it. I just thought that was something that odd people did. I don't know. I really didn't even consider it because I just thought that you just put them in a cot. But I so wish that we'd just done that from the beginning and not tried to kind of, because the amount of time I sat on the edge of the bed feeding him, waiting for him to drop off to sleep, putting him in a cot, hoping that wasn't going to wake him up as I lowered him into the cot, which I inevitably did, and then had to pick him up
See the eyes open, don't you think?
or the little jolts on the way down, and just the amount of extra sleep I could have had if he'd just been lying next to me right from the beginning, because it took a few months before we kind of thought, well actually, he might as well just be in the bed with us all night. So I definitely would have done that differently from the beginning. So I feel like telling everyone I see who's pregnant. Just have a baby.
I actually enjoy the fact that he does go into his own cot though, because I feel like I can be me in the evenings.
Some days
It's like whatever you want to do is the right thing for you, and there's just so much pressure to kind of do it one way or another, or if you do it this way then you're that kind of person, do it the other way then you're another kind of person. You just got to take it all with a pinch of salt and just do whatever feels like at the time.
And you were saying about doing it differently perhaps, but I think to a certain extent it's up to the child possibly. Because, I mean, he just happens to be a fantastic sleeper, but he gets into a mood quite quickly, and I just think their little personalities are almost already developed once they come out, or they're there.
But the other thing is sort of feeling really positive about being a mum, because I've had lots of, it was great having Mark there for, you've not had much sleep, and they say he's not sleeping in a bed by himself at 7 o'clock at night, getting a tizzy and think I'm doing it all wrong and not being a good mum. But at the moment it's all hunky-dory, and he's very engaging, very active, all over the place, and very cute and lots of very sweet things, and he's just really, really happy, so I'm really happy. Been treating me like a drum.
Do you feel she's bigger than you at the moment? You sort of, the way you're talking about it is like...
Not really, I'm still, it's just been a really big week for her. And we've done a lot of things, and the teeth business, probably it has affected her, even though she hasn't really been crying or chewing on stuff like I thought she would. That's what I was waiting for that to happen.
You get better at coping with things, because I remember going to visit my old work when he was a few weeks old, and they said, how's it going? And I said, he wakes up every 2 hours in this like really, you know, dramatic sort of every 2 hours. And they all turned to each other and said, every 2 hours, oh my God. And they all, you know, and if you ask me now, I would say he wakes up every 2 hours. It's exactly the same, but I'm not falling to pieces, and I don't think it's weird, and I'm not, you know, it's just, it's weird how that's changed, and nothing's really changed. It's just my head. It's like, and I've got stronger at just dealing with, and I've got different ways of dealing with it by co-sleeping, etc. So.
I was feeding him and he was enjoying the food, and after, I think he might have caught the spoon on his mouth or something, but it just set him off and he was in tears, and when he starts to cry, that's it. you've lost it with him basically. He doesn't seem to forget or forgive very quickly, and he just keeps going on and on and on and on and on, and yeah, just what somebody mentioned earlier, you know, you follow their moods, and so because he was so upset, it got me down as well, and I felt really, you know, really bluesy afterwards, probably because I just don't know why, you know, what it was that triggered it off.
And I feel a lot better when he's there, and then it comes to Monday and I feel like, oh God, I've got to do it again and put him down, and you know, he's just a lot more kind of like, well, he's crying, but that's what babies do, you know. Which is good for me because I get myself really worked up about it, and he's just a lot more matter of fact about it.
We've both been ill, so she got a tummy bug, which is not nice if she's sleeping in my bed, and she threw up all over me about 3 times, and then I got sick. And this week she hates her pram again, which is nice, which is really good when it's nice and hot. So I had to carry her in a sling, and she's getting really heavy. But apart from that, she's good. I'm happy.
It's just amazing how when he's ill and when I got ill, how everything just falls apart. It's kind of like how it was in the very, very beginning again, kind of real sleepless night, and just like the days just go really quickly and they're just torturous kind of things. So yeah, we didn't have a good few days a couple of weeks ago because of this weird temperature thing that didn't go away. So he had to go into hospital for a couple of nights. I had to go with him, and while he was on antibiotics. So we don't really know what it was. It's just a bug that really wouldn't go away.
But it's funny, yesterday I had to go to the supermarket with him, and I've realised that he knows now that he eats, because everything I picked up to put in the basket, he was going, and absolutely everything, as if to say, you know, I want that, I want that. So it was actually quite a challenge in the supermarket with him, because he just wanted everything that I was picking up, because he knew it was food and he wanted to eat it, and he got really upset when I wouldn't give it to him. So another tantrum in Tesco's, but you know, I'm sure they're used to it.
I had a friend here at the beginning, she was just doing everything, like her baby was like a few weeks old, and she was like going out to dinner, and he was coming, and she went to a wedding, and she was going swimming with him and everything, and I was like, oh, today I was going to go to the shop, and then I didn't, and I was going to do the washing up, and then I didn't, and I was just thinking like, oh, and I thought, you can't judge yourself on other people's terms, but you do feel like, oh my God, am I being really rubbish? I can't even like manage to like get off the settee, feeding all day long.
So I kept pushing him, screaming his head off, and I stopped to just, you know, comfort him and say, look, it's all right, it's all right. And this woman with a dog spotted him from, you know, just a bit further on up. And I just kept pushing him along, and he was screaming his head off, and she came up to me and she goes, oh my God, is he all right? Is he okay? And I said, yeah, he's absolutely fine. She goes, no, but babies have different screams, and he sounds really distressed, he sounds really distraught. I said, no, trust me, he's okay. And she was just questioning, like, whether I knew what my baby wanted or not.
How extraordinary. She thinks she knows your baby better than you do.
Yeah, and do you think I'd really be tormenting my baby in the broad daylight? I mean, it's just, you know.
I don't know, you think even other mothers are judging you for kind of not having your baby in a routine and, you know, not enforcing kind of set sleep times or whatever. So it's almost like when you meet somebody who's in the same situation as you, oh my God, you're not going to think I'm a bad mother or doing things wrong. I don't know.
Okay. In some ways, you know, parenting should be something that is shared within a society, because we do all have a responsibility for everybody's children. That's what makes society a better place. But it usually is. It's criticism. It's, you should have a hat. Your baby's crying. You're doing this wrong. That's what it is.
I saw these two older ladies sort of looking at me, and I just assumed that they were going to be judgmental, you know, which you don't normally get in Brighton. But then a bit later I got up and was walking past, and they were sitting on this bench, and the one woman said, "Oh, were you just feeding your baby?" And I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, good for you." And I was like, "Okay," I was really surprised, because I just somehow thought that, you know, and just people saying like again, often older people actually saying, "Oh, isn't that lovely that you carry him, and he looks very happy there," and you know, and that's quite affirming. I was breastfeeding him, and I sat down at this table, this other mum was bottle feeding, and I didn't know from a bar of soap, but she just looked over at me and said, this is his first bottle today," and she started going to this whole thing explaining why she was feeding him, because he was biting her and all stuff, and I just thought, I don't know, my impression was that she felt that she had to justify it to me, even though that I might be judging her, which I wasn't. That I might be thinking, "Oh, why aren't you breastfeeding?" or something, and it was just quite typical for me of like how mothers do sometimes judge each other or imagine that they judge each other. Yeah, I feel a lot more admiration for mothers now, and I used to think it was just an ordinary thing, and now any mother that I see, I'm like, wow. I don't know, just now that I know what goes into it, and how I used to be more judgmental about if they just misbehaving, I think, "Oh, what a terrible mom," you know, and now I know like it just isn't that simple.
Planning it all, she's going in a cot, she's going to do this, and then she's going to nursery when she's 6 weeks old, because I've got things to do, even though I didn't really and that was my biggest fear, is that I would end up pushing a pram with other mums, and I used to always be like, have we got something else to do? Everyone has kids, so there's too many kids. So it was really weird how it changes. Because even when she was born, it didn't really register with me. I still thought, right, there has to be a nursery in the hospital. You know, stick her in it and get some sleep. And it took a while. But now it's like, I feel bad if she's not around other babies for a while. So I like her to be, you know, with people, and I don't want her just to think that it's me, her, and the telly in the house. And that's now my biggest fear, is that she doesn't really, you know, get a lot of experiences. So I try and take her everywhere. I take her swimming, and you know, we go to the beach, and you know, we're always out doing stuff. So it's completely different from what I thought I would be like.
I used to get afraid of something happening to him. I used to get really scared about something happening to me, and Matt having to bring him up without me. And I'd lie in bed, and sometimes this this horrible scenario would just flash through my mind. Like, Matt will have to bring him up on his own. And it would sort of, it's kind of obsessed me for the last part of my pregnancy. Kind of strange, like, hallucination. And I think, because I keep having this hallucination, it's going to happen. It's like a foreboding. So that was a bit odd. But then, of course, when labour started happening, I didn't have time to think about any of these fears, because it's so sort of elemental, so you don't have time to go, I'm frightened of my strange fear. I'm just...
When he was born, it was like, oh my God, there's a baby. And it was like, he had this big exciting day in hospital and stuff. And then like, Chris had to go home, and my parents went home, and I was like, what do I do with him? He was just asleep, and I thought, I can't go to sleep, because what if he like dies when I'm like asleep? So I think I didn't really start to get fears until he was born, and then...
There's so many feelings that come.
Oh, I'm going to have my first night away from him on the weekend, which I'm really looking forward to, sort of, in a very